Consciousness returned, Darius registered only two things: the faint metallic burn lingering in his throat and a red glow coming from somewhere ahead. He blinked a few times to adjust his vision. The light wasn't the sun, nor any plasma reaction from a crashed ship. It was still, clear, like the breath of a living gemstone. Obrex. He jerked upright. Before him, jutting out from the ground among razor-edged crystal shards, a massive Obrex vein protruded into the open. The red-violet bands inside it pulsed like exposed arteries. Every rise and fall of the light was a promise, of energy, of hope, of life. "If I can collect enough of this, I can restart the signal beacon," he whispered, hands trembling with relief. After days filled only with fear, hunger, and frantic escapes, this was the first time he felt he had something that truly belonged to survival. Darius stepped closer, one step at a time, avoiding the sharp crystal splinters that could slice through EVA plating like paper. He drew the alloy knife from his belt and carefully levered it under the base of the Obrex cluster. The first fragments fell away, striking the ground with a clear metallic chime. He froze. That sound carried too far. In an Obrex crystal forest, every noise bent and ricocheted in tangled echoes. He looked around, only blood-red pillars and the drifting darkness suspended between them like frozen mist. He pried at a larger piece. Click. That sound wasn't from the knife or the crystals. It was something falling to the ground from above. He straightened abruptly, heart pounding like a faulty drive core. Then beneath his feet, the ground trembled, lightly, dry, long, as if something was crawling. From the cluster of crystals to his left, a small shadow, then larger, then fully emerging. The creature, no, the thing, was nearly a meter long, its segmented body plated like welded armor, its jaws lined with rows of tiny serrated teeth spiraling inward. Two pitch-black eyes, round like blobs of burnt resin, reflected the Obrex glow into a dark, bloody red. Swarmlon. But not the small stray type he'd seen on the plains. This one was 7, 8 times larger, like it had been fattened on Obrex energy itself. The first one crawled out, then a second, then dozens of shadows writhed across the crystal floor, bones scraping with a dry skitter, advancing straight toward him. Darius backed up, each breath whistling with panic. He snatched up his mini fuel torch, ignited it, and a long red flame roared to life. Come on then. The Swarmlon pack hesitated for a beat. The giant worms twisted in the air, screeching at the fire. They split to both sides, forming a half circle as if guided by instinctive strategy. One launched itself from the right. Darius swept the flame sideways. The searing heat split its head armor, smoke curling off its plates. The creature shrieked, rolled into a shadowed corner, and vanished. But 3 more lunged from the opposite side. He swung the torch left, but they were too fast. One hooked its body around his leg armor, serrated teeth biting as it yanked. Darius fell onto the crystal floor, his back scraping an Obrex shard and sending a lightning bolt of pain up his spine. He cried out, shoved the flame straight into the creature's face. It ignited instantly, twisting like a melting cable before rolling aside. The stench of burning flesh flooded his mask, making him gag. Damn it! Damn it! He staggered to his feet, stumbling backward, holding the flame out in front of him like the only wall between him and the tightening circle of monsters. The Swarmlons surged together. The largest one, easily 1.5 meters, climbed atop a crystal pillar, its body thick as a young tree trunk. It arched its back, screeched deeply, then dropped like a living blade. Darius looked up and fired the torch at full power. The fire hit its body, fracturing the plates in glowing red fissures. The beast slammed into the ground, cracking the crystal floor. But it didn't stop. It barreled toward him, angrier, more ferocious. Darius took one last step back. The fuel was almost gone. He knew he had only seconds before he'd be torn apart. And then a deep thunk echoed from above. Darius froze. He knew that sound instantly, the metallic, pressure-shifting noise. A faint shimmer appeared above the crystal pillars, metallic light reflecting through optical camouflage. Vra'kor. The Yocha dropped into the swarm like a meteor of metal. The ground split on impact. The Swarmland shrieked as one. The flame from Darius's torch stretched their shadows into warped shapes around him. A towering, armored hunter, brutal and silent, his mask like a living skull. Vra'kor didn't look at Darius, not once. He looked only at the Obrex seam behind him. Then he let out a guttural growl filtered through his mask and dove into the swarm like a storm forged of steel. His wrist blades snapped out, Obrex glinting crimson on their mirrored surfaces. One swing cleaved the largest worm in half, spraying hot fluid like shards of acidic rain. Two more attacked from opposite sides. Vra'kor twisted his arm, igniting a wrist-mounted burner. Both monsters died in the same burst of fire. Darius stepped back, breath forgotten. He wasn't here to save him. Looking closely, he could see it. The only thing in Vra'kor's eyes behind the visor was hunger. For Obrex, none of his strikes protected anyone. He was simply clearing a path to harvest the crystal the swarm had gathered around. Another swarmlon crawled up Darius's leg. He jolted, threw it off, and burned it with the last of his flame. The heat choked him, but he didn't dare stop. Vra'kor advanced, his shadow engulfing part of the crystal glow. The swarm recoiled for a beat, then surged from behind. He was trapped. No, 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 no! Darius circled a crystal column, heart hammering. Vra'kor lunged forward, slicing down two more creatures before halting, his gaze locked on the Obrex. He lifted the largest shard, examining it under the light. The remaining swarm screamed and charged like a furious tide. Vra'kor activated something on his wrist. A deep blue shockwave burst outward in a 7-meter radius, ripping through the swarm. One by one, the creatures convulsed, trembling violently, then burst into chunks of flesh, the air filled with scorched stench. The entire crystal forest fell silent after the single pulse. Darius collapsed to his knees, hands shaking uncontrollably. Vra'kor slipped the Obrex shard into the mesh pack on his back, straightened, and looked down at him. The eyes behind the metal mask held no intent to kill. He had survived.